Is Kazakhstan the next globalist target? I wonder. Possibly, maybe. Let me just share my screen. Yes. So where is Kazakhstan? As you can see, oops, wrong way. There's Russia, this massive entity. Kazakhstan has the longest continuous border with the Russian Federation. There's a little border with China there. The rest is over here, and the rest is with Mongolia. This cuts right between, this is through here, this part here is what we call the separation between the Ural Mountains, which separate the European part from the Asian part of Russia, or the border of the Eurasian split between the European and the Asian part of Russia. Okay, so this is really at the heart of it. And Kazakhstan is a country which, oops, and a lot of the actual populations around here ethnically are very similar. There's all these other republics that are here. Potentially, if Kazakhstan becomes unstable, obviously, that's a big problem for Russia as well. Remember, the globalist elites, our lovely friends at BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, absolutely lovely creatures of the Black Lagoon of Washington. If those nefarious creatures couldn't achieve their result in this neck of the wood, maybe they can achieve it over here. You never know, kiddies. Possibilities are endless. Carnegie, Politica, obviously another, deep state think tank. And, they mentioned about the unrest in 2022. We know that some of the deep state people use some of the Turks and a few other nefarious groups to create instability, and the Russians had to provide assistance to the regime at the time to basically prevent it. I mean, it's an authoritarian. It's a bit corrupt. Let's be honest about it. But, it's not as if the other side is basically, lovely and cute and without their own corrupt, nefarious agendas. Let's be completely honest about that. As I say, because I'm a patriot, I believe that nation states, their populations, should determine their own future, not external players. It should be the population within their own country that determines their future in the way their society goes forward. So I'm critical about any foreign interference in any country that happens. It seems it's okay for certain countries to do it, and then they criticise others for doing it to them. Well, you can't have it both ways. That's the reality. So, obviously I'm not a supporter of this regime, but at the end of the day, the regime is the regime, and it's up to the population themselves to determine their own future. That's how I've always approached things, and all that. But obviously, when they look at, they talk about the new government, and it has a big mandate. In sort of politically, it's got rid of certain people. So the new president, Tokayev, sort of cleaned up. I mean, he's not, anything fantastic. Sort of accepted the Prime Minister's resignation, sort of booted him off, and for the response, and him and many others for the responsibilities of the January 22 incident. That was supported by our dear globalist friends who made use of some other forces Turkic forces to basically do some of their dirty work, as they usually do. Let's not forget that Turkey was used because Turkey is basically one of those criminal states, narco state, terrorist state, was trading with basically ISIS for oil. So, it's not, but that doesn't mean that the West doesn't actually utilise. They both don't trust him, but also they utilise him for their dirty work as well. That's why they even though the Turks do so many nefarious things and illegal things, drug smuggling, human trafficking, and money laundering, and a whole lot of other criminal activities, as long as they serve their globalist masters for a few things, they let them get away with those sort of things. That's the hypocrisy of the whole system. It's just basically they don't have any honour, these people. They basically will use and abuse and do all sorts of things. But anyway, that's how it works. The real world is not a black and white. It's very murky, very grey, and and unfortunately, most characters are basically very unsavoury in one way or another. It's just the reality of things. So it's not but I believe that peoples should have the rights to determine their own destiny, and certain globalist elites who basically have created a mountain of debt in the West are now trying to break up these entities, these countries, so they can go in and grab for themselves most of their resources and all that to balance their books, because that's really what's happening. Let's be honest. These people are not virtual signaling because they love these people, okay? Even the regime, the current regime that sort of was moving towards the West, they're also realising, you can't really trust the West, that we may be knocked off as well. So they're basically keeping their options open for both sides, in that regard. Last week, during a visit to Russia, Kazakh President Tokayev made a seemingly, wary comment to President Putin, stating that there is no doubt about the outcome of the forthcoming Russian presidential election, blah, blah, blah. And he just talked about some of those sort of general things. And, these are the sort of things that you hear about, the sort of the airy-fairy sort of stuff that you will hear about economic ties and blah, blah, blah. You sort of have to you have to ignore some of this sort of stuff. You've got to have to think, now, why did he go there? Because he's concerned about his own regime. Because the problem is, people can never trust the globalist elites. They may prop you up like they did with Saddam Hussein, give you chemical weapons to kill your opponents, but then they may turn on you. You can never trust them. And so he's probably realised, they're trying to undertake economic warfare against me because now they need to topple me in order to undermine Russia, because I stick and border at the middle part of the belly of the beast, the Russian beast, for the globalists. You get it? So for the globalists, see this border with Russia? This potentially has the ability to fracture Russia if this place becomes very unstable. And elements from here end up being weaponized against these adjoining autonomous republics within the Russian Federation. You understand what I'm talking about? Okay. So, the globalists will use this country and kill most of its youth in order to basically undermine this country. There's a potential that they may be trying to do the same thing here. This country, Kazakhstan, has got a lot of wealth. It's not a poor country. It's got shitloads of wealth. It's got oil wealth, mining, resource, all sorts of shitload, like the Ukraine. It's not a poor country. That it's mismanaged and it's corrupt, like Ukraine, yeah, it is. Let's be honest. It's not a panacea, but it's actually better run than some other countries in the world. But the reality is for the globalists, obviously, this country is an issue because it's not playing, with our dear friends, our lovely dear friends at BlackRock, State Street and Vanguard. I mean, the epitome of humanitarians on this planet. They're not playing the ball, the game. They're not playing like Zelensky. At least Zelensky basically has, signed over the entire Ukrainian economy to these lovely people of the globalist elite. The Kazakhs have not done that. They're not willing to be used, to be weaponized. So now what are they doing? They're putting them under pressure. Pressure, pressure, pressure. And how is that pressure being seen? Well, you've got to look at gold reserves by countries. When people run out of money, what do? They sell their gold reserves. So, here you've got countries basically increasing their gold reserves. Kazakhstan is the highest in selling gold. And this is just the second quarter of 2024. If you go back to the previous quarters, they've been selling as well. So it's not only this quarter. So Romania is the lowest, Mexico is the second lowest, Germany the lowest. But Germany's, if you look at, for instance, in terms of gold reserves, Germany has the second highest amount of actual physical gold after the US. So the Germans have got shitloads of gold. So even if they offloading a bit, they've got plenty in comparison. They've even got more than Italy, France, Russian Federation, and China. Okay? China's got more in FX, which is speculative stuff, So we're not talking about real physical gold. We're talking about speculative stuff. China's got far more there than any other country in the world. So just remember that. That's possibly another white elephant that's at some point will go belly up. But that's for another day. So, these other countries are basically buying more gold. Obviously, Turkey is to offset its depreciation of its currency. Poland, because it's worried about the future, and India, because it's making shitloads of money from oil, Russian oil. And so they've decided, well, why don't we buy a bit of additional gold, which can give us a bit more security down the track in that regard. But the top leader in selling gold is Kazakhstan. Surprise, surprise, because it's the next target of the globalist elites. That is why they're under pressure. This country that's absolutely wealthy in commodities, and at the moment, commodities are the big thing. Oil, very high. Many other minerals are super high. Because most of the other growth in the so-called West is paper growth. It's basically money printing and inflation, assets appreciating because more money chasing less assets. That's all it is. It's a Ponzi scheme growth. It's not real growth. It's not producing real goods and services for people. Actually, the purchasing power of the Americans and the Europeans is declining, and they're being further impoverished. Plus, the amount of money people are, you know, have got in savings has diminished to practically nothing. So really, it's not due to growth based on demand. It's basically asset appreciation because of money printing. So the GDP is growing, but the actual reality is completely different for the majority of people. Okay, so it's money printing, inflationary sort of, and that, or most of that money is going to assets. So all they're doing is just pushing up asset prices, properties, shares, that sort of stuff. So it's just another Ponzi scheme. At some point, it will poof burst. But obviously, if you're one of the big fund managers, you realise this. You know it's a Ponzi scheme, but with that extra wealth that you've got, that extra capital, now you can actually leverage even further to buy commodities, buy a whole lot of other things that are real, true assets. But the problem is, if people won't sell them to you, you need to basically appropriate them, like they did with our dear friends in Ukraine. Our lovely, lovely, good ally Zelensky signed over the Ukrainian economy to BlackRock. What a humanitarian Zelensky is, to hand over his whole economy to BlackRock. Lovely person, loves the West, and the money that we give him. I mean, the villas that the guy's got. I mean, we've really looked after him, and he's looked after us. Well, actually, not us, the people, but our dear friends at BlackRock. Larry Finn, a great humanitarian, the most humanitarian, a loving person on the planet. Far better than that guy Soros or that guy Bill Gates. They think they're big players. Larry's a really big player. He's a big player with a lot of dosh. He's the big player in this game. They're on the sideshow. Well, Bill Gates has got his little sideshow with, injectable money. Fabulous, money earner for him, from Windows to injectable money. This guy's incredible. Well, he owns the WHO, the biggest funder. Again, a humanitarian that gives so much money through his own, he's got this deep love for health of humanity. So he's just giving some of his wealth to that lovely organisation in the UN, and so they are basically being generous and magnanimous and sort of, giving something back, which is the right thing to do, pro quo, if you do something, a favour for somebody, you expect a favour back. I mean, God, the world, money goes around, if it doesn't, these people aren't doing the right thing. So, I'm disappointed they're not supporting our dear friend Bill even more. How dare they, as Greta would say? How dare they? So, but this is Larry's sort of domain. He needs to get more commodities, but also, hopefully, this may be the thing that the neocons and, those lovely people within the Democrat Party, this may fracture Russia. God, can you imagine all that wealth? I mean, just look at the place. If they were to get just this massive entity, this part here, if that broke away, can you imagine that broke away? It would stop basically selling stuff to the Chinese. This would all become a BlackRock empire. Fabulous. I mean, then Larry could be even more humanitarian to the West. He could basically, by controlling the West completely with his additional wealth, he could really help the rest of us, really enjoy our 15-minute cities, our perfectly, you know, futuristic world. Everything's monitored because he cares about us. He wants to monitor everything we do so he can care for us. You need to understand this. He's a caring man, So the Kazakhstan and these sort of places, they're playing their role. They are basically liberating the potential of BlackRock and Larry Finn. They've given him additional capacity to basically then benefit us. He'll look after us. I'm looking forward to be basically in sheltered, and protected in a 15-minute city. It'll be perfect for my future. I don't need to travel. God, I just need to basically have everything close to me. Everything. Why bother having to worry about all these things when Larry's looking after them? God, just hand over your freedom. Larry will look after your freedom and everything you need. He'll look after what you need, kibble, as much as you like. Yeah, God, they produce it so cheaply. You might as well have as much as you like. You know, future sort of beyond sort of products. It'll be beyond everything. But you don't need that bloody steak behind. God, you'll get beyond burgers for the rest of your life. Get beyond everything for the rest of your life within 15 minutes. It'll be a perfect world. It'll be a paradise on earth. You won't have to worry about anything. But Larry needs to get his, side. Guys, it's a pro quo. He gets the world, we get the 15-minute cities. What's wrong with you? Such a liberating experience for him, maybe not for us, but still we get our 15-minute conveniences. Everything's closed, everything's available. Why complain when you just have to put your hand out, you'll get your kibble, you'll get your social credit score up, and if you keep your social credit score up, they'll print more money and give you a bit more money. I know it'll lose a bit of value, but, stop complaining, you naysayers. Stop complaining. They'll be giving you more money. You won't have to work for it. As long as you maintain a good social credit score, as long as you're loyal to our dear and lovely friends at BlackRock, So Larry Finn will make sure if you've got a good social credit score, you'll get the benefits of it. But he needs to basically work. Obviously, this regime is a corrupt regime. We can't let it fall back to the Russies. The Russies. Those Soviets. We can't allow them to control Kazakhstan now, can we, boys and girls? No, we should give it to Larry. Larry will look after it for us, remember, for us, and he'll basically make sure that we'll get all the benefits of the 15-minute lifestyle. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I just cannot wait. Free injectables, everything free, So you just have to basically bow down to, some of these high-tech, gods of the AI world. Yes, as long as we bow down to these lovely creatures of the Black Lagoon, of the Washington Black Lagoon, they'll look after us. So that is your future. That is what's happening to Kazakhstan. It's stage 2. The Ukraine was stage 1. Stage 2 is, or victory. Stage 2 is on its way. The more we get, maybe, there may have to be a stage 3. You never know. The world is a difficult place for Larry Finn. It's a difficult place. I mean, the man is an exceptional human being, great difficulty, but he's achieved such a great Ponzi scheme of paper money, you know, and he's such a humanitarian. He wants us to live better. You know, he wants us to change our ways, to be, you know, more virtuous, because we're not virtuous enough. Like Larry, we have to be more virtuous, like Larry, and he'll look after us in our 15-minute cities. Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. But, you know, that's the future. It's a lovely future that's coming our way. And, you know, Kazakhstan is the next one off the actual, you know, the next target that will bring the future forward faster. Remember that, kiddies. You know, so we need to support the globalists in their next adventure, which is called Kazakhstan. You know, these Kazakhs, you know, God, selling all this gold, trying to stabilize their economy and keep the whole thing going. You know, how dare they? How dare they sell their people's wealth, these people, to stay in power? How dare these nefarious things? They should give it to Larry. He'll look after it, and he'll look after them and us, you know? So, you know, that's the sort of future we should all embrace, because if we don't, you know, and we shouldn't vote for that Trump guy, even though he's not perfect. That's not the thing, but he's pissed off with them. And he may do something naughty, and we can't have that. You know, we just can't have naughtiness. You know, Larry's really looking after things. And, you know, it's outrageous that people like him are getting on stage and actually criticizing such a humanitarian like Larry, such a humanitarian like Bill Gates, such a humanitarian like George Soros. I mean, George Soros is a lovely person. Everybody says, you know, he was so mean to his own people, you know, helping the Nazis kill a lot of them and profiteer. He was a humanitarian. He was doing them a favor. You know, how dare people talk badly about George? George is such a humanitarian. He's set up all these global NGOs that are helping so many people, desperate people in other parts of the world, come to the West. You know, he's such a lovely humanitarian. How dare you, as Greta would say, you know, criticize George? Oh, you bigots. How dare you? You know, George is a lovely man. I love George personally. You know, my father's name is good. My father's name. How can I not love him? You know, so George is a lovely person. You know, absolutely lovely person. And Bill, oh God, you know, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more, Bill. Oh, please give me more. And you know, God, I don't know. Some people are up to their seventh, eighth, ninth. You know, they just love being boosted continuously. You know, Bill boosters, as they call them. Yes, great stuff. Great stuff, Bill. You know, keep that control. Keep funding the WHO. 88%. You know, it's a lovely humanitarian. You know, he actually cares about global health. How dare people criticize him? How dare you? You bigots out there, how dare you? You know, lovely person, absolutely lovely person, very close to my heart, you know. And I mean, but Larry tops them all. Larry tops them all. He's the absolute guru of the world. He basically is the absolute guru. I mean, there is nobody that actually even gets close to Larry. Absolutely no one. Larry Finn, you know, BlackRock, what an enterprise. You know, the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world. I mean, the guy is a god, an absolute financial god. And you bigots out there continually criticize him. How dare you, as Greta would say, how dare you, you know? So that's my sort of view about the future of Kazakhstan, that evil regime, that corrupt regime. How dare they oppose our dear friend at BlackRock? You know, how dare they disagree with basically our globalist friends at BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard? and number of other characters, from the Black Lagoon in Washington. How dare they oppose those people? Lovely humanitarians, lovely creatures that basically just want the best for the world. They're so caring, so loving. You know, it brings a tear to my eye. Just, just I can't express the love for them. As you can understand. I'm just really looking forward to my coon pod and my 15-minute city. I can't wait. I'm just really, really pissed off that it's not coming fast enough. Really absolutely pissed off. I need to come fast enough. So to my lovely friends at YouTubia who gave me a strike to basically tell me how bad I was. I know. Look, I said a few naughty things about a few people. I know I've been a bad boy. How dare I? But my lovely friends at YouTubia soon will remove that strike from me. I'll be able to come back and just do my regular sort of stuff. So, and also, obviously, on the nutritional stuff, I will do the geopolitical stuff and just talk such kind words for my dear friends at BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Go Ponzi scheme, go. I want more money printing, not less. I need you bigots out there to basically learn what it is to do a real job. I want this currency to be debased even further so your purchasing power reduces because you're over-consuming and destroying Mummy Earth. You're over-consuming. So you need to be further impoverished because how dare you threaten Mummy Earth? We need to pass all that money on to our dear friends at BlackRock, State Street and Vanguard because they love the Mummy Earth and they'll look after Mummy Earth for us. You need to sacrifice. You need to sacrifice, because Uncle Larry Finn is looking after us, is looking after the world, and we should stop criticizing Larry, Uncle Larry. I'll call him Uncle Larry, because he's such a humanitarian. He loves us all, He wants to put us in coon pods and basically 15-minute cities because he loves us so much and give us junk money. But anyway, it's good money. People call it junk, but it's good money. And, we'll live like in paradise on earth. We'll all be basically, equal. It'll be a great utopia of equality. I look forward to it, Larry will look after everything else. Just remember that, boys and girls. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this interesting take on Kazakhstan, our next target. Anyway, see yous.